Alright guys, so we are in the next unit. This is unit number 6, talking about circles. So this right here is the equation of a circle. I'm on slide number 7. Alright, so let me see what's going on here. Alright, so let me see what I got. Let me move this out of the way. Alright, so here is your standard, equation of a circle. You got your h and your k. Put those together, and that's the coordinate of the center. The r is your radius. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. Alright, so let's see. Move the slider to set the values of r, h, and k, and record the last 3 different sets of data. Also record the equations of the corresponding circles. Okay. Seems easy enough. So I'm going to go with what I got first. There's h is 2, k is 3, r is 1, so 2, 3, 1. Okay, so let's see. H was 2, k was 3, radius was 1. All right, now they give us the equation of the circle over here, but that is something that you guys are going to want to learn how to do very, very quickly. And it really is just a plug and chug. This is on the ACT, that's why I say you want to do it very, very quickly. All right, so here is basically how it works. You're going to open a parenthesis and you're going to put in x. Now, whatever this coordinate is, the opposite sign goes what's in the problem. So this is a positive 2. You're going to put minus 2 in the parenthesis, and you're going to square that. You're going to put a plus sign, because as you can see, there's your formula is supposed to be a plus. All right, but we have a k, so again, it's going to be the opposite sign, but this one's going to be a y, and since it's a positive 3 in the parentheses, it's going to be a negative 3, and you're going to square it. Now, in your formula, this right here says 1, but that is not standard. It's your radius that goes here, and 1 squared is 1. So this is 1 squared, and that's going to be the same thing as 1. All right, so let's change it up. Let's say our center is, let me give you a nice number. How about negative 2? We'll make this also, let's make it a negative 1. Let's make our radius 2. All right. So we've got a bigger circle here, but I did this for a reason. So negative 2, negative 1, 2. Negative 2, negative 1, 2. Okay, so again, you got to remember that it's opposite sign. So in parentheses is the x, but here it's a negative 2. And see what happens is a double negative makes a positive. So the shortcut is just change the sign. It's plus 2 and squared. Put your plus sign. Then your y. It's a negative 1. It changes signs to become a plus 1. And the reason why is because it's a double negative in the formula. It's minus a negative 1. And you're going to close parentheses and square that. And then radius square. So 2 squared is 4, okay? So you don't still put 2 and then square. You go ahead and put the 4 there. Oh, let's do another one. How about 1, negative 4, and let's do 3. Just changing it up. So as you can see, I've got a center at 1, negative 4. That's your h and your k. Over 1, down 4. Radius is 3 because that's how big the length of the r is. All right, so we've got 1, negative 4, 3. 1, negative 4, 3. All right, so plug and chug. So we got x, and it's a plus 1, so it's going to be minus 1 in your formula. Squared. Plus. All right, we got y, and it's a minus 4 here, so it's going to be a plus 4 in your formula. Squared. And then since radius is 3, 3 squared is 9. All right, so how about I have a negative 10? Well, negative 10 Let's make this a 5. Let's make this radius a 4. All right. So we got a negative 10, which means it's plus 10 in your formula, squared. Okay, for your y, I put a positive 5. That means it's a minus 5 in your formula. And don't forget you square your radius, so 4 squared is 16. All right, so you can make up whatever numbers. All right, so let's say that, let's put a 0 in. How about a 0, a 2, and radius can't be negative because it's a distance, so no, let's make it a 10. All right, so what happens if there's a 0 in there? Now, just watch this for a second. Technically, it's x minus 0 squared. All right, technically that's what it is because you put in a 0. Now, 0 is either positive or negative. So you could have just as easily put x plus 0 squared. But ACT is not going to do that, you guys. They're not going to put the 0 at all for the h. They're just going to have x squared. That's it. They're not going to have the 0 in, plus 0, or minus 0. They're not going to have that. It's just, hey, that's x squared because there's not a number for, like a place value. All right, so let's see. We got y. And again, it's a plus 2, so we're going to have minus 2 squared. And 10 squared is 100. Now, that can also be for the y. All right, so let's make that a 2. All right, so I got a 4 for the h. That means it's going to be x minus 4 because they just changed signs. Okay, we don't put in a 0 for the k, so y squared, that is it. We just don't put it there. ACT is not going to put it there. The radius squared, 2 squared is 4. All right, so we submitted that. All right, so yeah, they put some zeros in there. Okay. All right, question 2. Move the center of the circle horizontally to the left and then to the right of the y-axis. How does the equation of the circle change as the center crosses the y-axis? Move the center of the circle horizontally to the left and then to the right of the y-axis. So if I move it left and right. So they're basically just looking at, I guess, the numbers, I'm assuming. So if I'm over here, they're going to be negatives. I'm looking at negative and negative. If I move it over here, this one's positive, this one's negative. Let's see if I move it up. I'll move it here. So they're both positives. So I got a negative, positive. Basically, if you'll notice that it goes along with your coordinate system of what they are. Okay, so if h is positive, the circle shifts horizontally right of the y-axis. If h is negative, the circle shifts horizontally left of the y-axis. All right, move this in a circle vertically, so it's above and below the x-axis, and then again they're asking the same question. All right, so if I'm above the x-axis, up here, and if I'm looking at below, well, if you'll notice, this this k right there is the one that changes. So I'm just looking at above is positive, below is the double negative. So if k is positive, circle shifts above. There it's positive. Below is a negative, you have a double negative. Okay. So let's see. If K is positive, the circle shifts vertically above the x-axis. If K is negative, the circle shifts vertically below the x-axis. All right, question 4. How does the equation change when the radius changes? Unlike h and k, why is r always positive? Well, it's always positive because it's squared. Squared numbers are always positive. All right, so a circle check. So when the radius, if the radius gets bigger, the circle gets bigger. If the radius gets smaller, the circle gets smaller. If the radius gets bigger, the circle gets bigger. If the radius gets smaller, the circle gets smaller. I'm not exactly sure if that's asking, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, okay. There you go. Always positive. Okay, cool. Oh, self-evaluation. All right, so the takeaway from this is you've got to remember to change those signs for your H and your K. If they're positive, you make them minuses. If they're a minus, you make it a plus because it ends up being a double negative. That's really the takeaway. And this is on the ACT, so it's good something to have memorized.